Greetings and welcome back to Game Design. In this project, you're going to take your last project and make it use the conditional statement. So first thing we'll go over is the project guide. Again, remember I'm showing you the bare minimum they need to pass, ID low C minus, right? And we're still working on our Pong, making it work. And what I'm saying in this project is what we're going to make it do over here. So it's really important that you add this all out. So what are my update movement ideas? What's used to control it? Will it bounce? What keys? You're explaining everything that it's going to do for movement. Now, not just move up, move down, but like what's going to move it? Is it going to eventually hit off something, right? In this case, we don't have the collision code yet. So what we're going to do is to move up and down the left paddle, we use the W and S keys, and this will allow the right paddle to use the up and down keys. Both paddles will not move off the screen like they currently do. The ball will randomly move in a direction, up or down, left or right, and then I'll show you. Some of this is going to be important to what we do with our coding over here. That we'll need to set up the coding and stuff you might need to do for your game depending on how you're working on this. And then we can get it to bounce off the ball. We can get the ball to bounce off the wall. And we might have to change some of the numbers here to actually get it to go in the direction, since we'll be able to collide with the paddle. But we'll be able to bounce off the walls in this because it's not detection. We just know where the X and the Y are for this. And then also the last piece is if it goes off the edge, it'll restart. So the ball will keep on going. We can move the paddles around, and that's about where it's going to get to, right? That's what we're doing. The next piece is planning your sprite. So the left paddle, what is my control? The W key is going to make it go up. The S key is going to make it go down. That's the dot Y that allows you to do this if you're doing rotation, right? You might have the up and down, turn counterclockwise, clockwise for rotation. My R paddle is just using the up and down key. The ball, it's randomly going to go left or right, up and down. Again, we'll show you how this works in a second. If it goes off the screen, it'll reset the ball, and if it goes to the ceiling or the floor, it will go ahead and bounce. Right? We need the X and the Y to do that. That's all I need for mine. The if-else statements. Now, I'm actually going to make these slightly more complicated when we actually do the coding, because in order to make it stop from going off the edge, we do need a little bit more in this. When it moves up, we need to be able to stop it. But for now, if it's an if and an else if, and then the W key went down, S key went down, paddle up and down, and then same concept for the right paddle up and down key does that. And then in this case, if the ball is going off the edge, it changes direction, and then we need one more if statements. If it goes off the edge, it resets to the middle, right? So that's another if ball X greater, same concept as this, once the ball goes off the edge. Then you build your app, which is what we're going to do now. And I'll update this in a second, but for this we need to think about a lot of things we need to do, right? So one thing I talked about was direction, right? And an easy way to get the direction to go until we actually have our velocity and all these other more commands. For this piece here, we're going to do a little trick, right? So I'm going to grab this var x and put it outside the function, and I'm going to do dir x and dir y for direction x and direction y. And I'm going to make it -1 and 0, not 0, it has to be 1. All right, now this is going to go under a concept that if you times the negative, it's positive, and if you times the positive by a negative, it's positive, negative, and if you times the positive by a positive, it's positive. And what that means is we can make things bounce, right? We can switch these, so if it's going negative, and then we times it by a negative, it's now going positive, right? So now we're going to go ahead and jump these. We don't need it in the paddles. We need it for the ball. We can now times these by the correct direction. So this is dir y, and then this is times dir x, which again, we'll randomly pick some of the stuff in a second. But that is a good start. Right now, when the game starts, it's going to go -x and then +y. So that should be left and down. which I think we can test that real quick. Yep, it changed the direction by doing this. So this works so far. And again, when we get to some stuff, we'll change it. So the first things first, let's go ahead and work on the paddles. Let's work on the paddles first. Those should be, to get started, fairly quick. So we'll go ahead and grab our control statement. We'll drag the if-else statement here. We'll drag our paddle into here. I'll put the minus on the bottom side. Now I can copy this. All right, I'm going to put this over to code because that's what you're doing anyway, right? So I'm going to copy this, paste into here, and then this is plus. All right. Now this has the dot, dot, dot there, and we need the world. I'm going to delete it, and we need to do the key down, right? So key down, and we want, this is the left paddle, so W. Oops, I want to pause there. And then we're changing this to an else if. So else if, parentheses, and then I'm just going to copy this key down, and S will make it go down. All right, so we now should have the left paddle working. All right, so we run this, it's not working, and then I think I got these backwards. I do have these backwards. So this is S, and this is W. All right, there we go. So now I'm pressing the up arrows, going up. I let go, it doesn't go up, right? I have now control of my paddle. No, it does go off. I will fix that in a second, but let's go ahead and fix this for the other one. So I'm going to copy all of this, paste it below it, and then I'm just going to delete this one for now, and then S is down, and W is up. And I'm changing this all to art real quick. So this is for the art right paddle, this is for the right paddle, and for the right paddle. So now I run this. All right, I have full control over both of these. So that is good. The ball still goes off, so now we need to now deal with the direction of stuff. Now, the ball's always moving. So I'm going to leave these there. What I'm going to do above it, though, is give it the ability to bounce. So if we look at my code again, I already did all of this. This is the ball change direction, so ball Y. So let's go ahead and do control, if, and we're going to do ball dot Y. And I picked numbers, we might need to change it, but if it's less than 10, and this is all about how wide it is. So basically the ball is going to go up. If we do 0, the ball is going to get half off the screen before it bounces. So that's why I have a 10. If ball Y is less than 10, here is the kicker to this, right? Dir Y is equal to dir Y times -1. And again, this is what I was talking about, right? So it's 1. 1 times 1 is -1. And now we go down here, it's going to go the opposite direction. And then if it's negative, so negative, which I guess would actually be 5, 5 times -1, again, when we go down there, it's going to go the opposite direction. So that should bounce off the top. And then we add an else if, squiggly bracket, enter, and then we're going to copy this, and we're going to do greater than 390. And again, that concept of we're giving it a little bit so it doesn't go halfway off the screen. And then, oh, I forgot my semicolon. So let's copy that. Now, the problem is we probably won't, yeah, we saw it. You saw a little bounce right there. I am going to make the Y a little higher than the X. So this should go, yeah, there, you should be able to see the bounce a little bit. And you can see this, even this kind of goes off the screen a little bit. So if we bump it up to maybe 12 and then 88, run it again. Basically, you're just playing around with the numbers. Still, that looks pretty good, right? So it bounces. If I have that at 0 and 400, again, half of it will go off. So we now have a bounce, right? Now we'll randomly pick these in a second, and we'll also show you when it goes off the screen. So the next piece is then if it goes off the screen, to go ahead and make it so it can go one way or another. All right, so let's grab some more if statements. And the same concept for this, we're going to do ball dot x is less than 0. So this is going to make it actually go off. We do want it to go halfway off to be off, so it's off. And then we're going to copy this, but we are going to change. Well, actually, we're not going to copy this because we're going to reset it, right? So if it goes off the screen, that means it went off the screen. We need to reset. All right. Now I'm going to do this. Eventually, we'll learn how to do this in a function. So I'm going to reset. Right. So two things we need to reset. Let's go ahead and make a random thing here. So we can grab math random to do that. And we can also have it round as needed. So we're going to do a couple things for this. Let's make an if statement. So basically, we'll have it go negative and positive based on if it's 0, 1. So if, and we'll grab our random number, and we'll do 0 to 1, and this is gonna give our directions. Now this is going to be a fairly big piece of code. So I'm going to squiggly bracket. All right, so I made my if statement, and we'll say if this equals 1. All right, then it's dir y is that, else it's no, that's right. It's dir equals to this. There we go. Let's do it that way. So basically, we're going to change its dir if it's, actually, let's do that. We'll get less code. Let's keep that. This will be less code. So basically, if it's 0, it's going to change its direction. Or if it's 1. If it's 1, that's what I'm saying. If it randomly picks 1, it's going to change its direction. Else it's not. Now, what we do need to do, though, is do this again and make this the x. All right? So its x will also randomly change. All right, now again, this is the reset the ball, right? This is the reset the ball. So that resets that. This part of it is just resetting, is picking a random direction. To actually reset the thing, we need to do ball.x equals 200, because right, that's the center, and ball.y equals 200. All right, so now it says if it goes off this direction, it's going to randomly pick a new direction for x and y, and then it's going to put it back in the middle and start it. So this should work, right? It bounces off. There we go. Now, we don't have that side working yet, but you notice how it went up that way, right? It's randomly picking. So when we do this again, it may not go up that direction every single time, right? It's randomly, yep, there we go, right? It's randomly picking its directions. All right, now we need an else if. Under that, brackets. So this is where again we'll eventually get a function to do this. But for now, I'm going to copy this and paste this here, and this will remind me later I need to turn this into a function, which we haven't learned yet. And we need to do the ball x. So ball.x in this case greater than 400. And essentially, we've now made the game ever running. Right? So we reset this and run this, and the ball is just going to go and go and go and go. And now we have control of these. We've pretty much done everything we need to do, except for stop these from going off the edge, right? They come back, but that's the only thing. And again, that's all. We will eventually get it to bounce, but for now, right? For now, we have done everything that we need to do. The ball is always going. We have, it goes one side, it'll stop. It goes off and go back to the center. If it goes the other side, it'll reappear. And again, this concept of random and everything that you're doing, if you have objects that are going across and then you randomly come back, again, this concept of just resetting it, right? Change the ball. This could be a random Y. So if you've got a fireball going across, randomly pick its Y, and then its X just goes back to maybe 450, and then it comes back across. Boom. Randomly picks a Y, right? So if you have this reset thing, if it goes off the edge, you do this. So you should be able to apply a lot of what we're doing to whatever game you happen to be doing. All right, last piece, and this is probably the hardest piece, but is we have, if the S key is down, we're going to go up, right? No, S key makes us go down. But it makes us go off the screen. So in this, if you're inside of that bracket, right? See how there's these two brackets? Inside it, we're going to add two ampersands, right? The and sign, ampersand is the official name. So that's shift 7. And we want L paddle, oops, capital P, paddle dot Y is less than, let's say 350. Now what I've done is, right now, L paddle Y is less than 350. And as we go down, we want to stop. As soon as we get to 350, we don't want it to go any further, right? If it's higher than that, it needs to stop. So in theory, this should, oh, that's perfect. 50 was perfect. So sometimes, this is why I picked 350. If it was 400, again, half the paddle will go off, kind of like the ball concept, right? If you always go to the edges, you got to figure out how wide it is. So I did that. So that also lets me know, down here, I can do those ampersigns again and do L paddle dot Y greater than 50. And when I run this, my W stops, right? Again, it's not going. My S brings me down and stops, and now it's good. So pretty much copy this, paste it here, copy this. Oops. All right, and I'll copy this one. I missed it. That's why I clicked the wrong button. All right, and then I just need to change this to R paddle. Reset, run, and now I'm pressing up. Just work my up arrow. I have too many things. No? Oh, I know what I did. There we go. Okay, so, what mistake. Somehow got this on the wrong side of it. So let's reset and run this again. All right, so up, they both stop, down, and they both stop. All right. I have done everything that I said I was going to do in here. And again, that's the explanation. You need to explain everything that's going to go. Is it randomly going? Once it goes off the side, what happens, right? You should have like everything except for Sprite collision. All right, we're going to learn Sprite collision. Your game should have every animation in it that it needs except for Sprite animation or Sprite collision, right? Everything in there except Sprite collision. So what am I proud of? Again, this is the bare minimum, right? But you know, I was glad I was able to get those to actually stop, right? That is a nice feature. Let's make it real. And then I'm also, you know, why? Because it makes it more correct. And I was able to use that advanced logic, right? This was pretty complex in order to get it to actually do that. So that was kind of cool. What do I want to do? Well, I want to be able to bounce off the paddle. I want to add a score, right? So every time it goes off, if it goes off the screen down here, should be able to update a score for each side. And then I want to add AI, right? What if I want to be able to give the option so this side I can just play against the AI. I don't need, or I don't have to play myself, right? I can do that. So with that, that is your project, right? Again, remember this is the bare minimum, the absolute bare minimum. You're going to have more. Your thing's going to look more. You're going to have background and stuff, more stuff moving. But that's the bare minimum of the project. That's what the expectations are. That's how you do a lot of this stuff, right? This, again, you're going to have to try to apply it to yourself. That is the point of this class. You are going through and applying it to yourself. So with that, that's all I have for this project. We'll see you next lesson.